Dependable, dependable God. It doesn't matter what comes my way, you are still God. Intentional, intentional God. Everything is working out for my good. I love to call you dependable, dependable God. It doesn't matter what comes my way, you are still my God. Oh, yeah. Intentional, you're so intentional about me, Jesus. I know that everything is working out for my good. And I will put my trust in you. I will make my boast in you. I will put my trust in you. Oh, dependable God. Oh, Jesus. And only you. I will make this boast and only you. I will put my trust in you just because. Dependable God.
Now open your mouth, everybody, and begin to give God some praise.
Dependable, dependable, dependable God. It doesn't matter what comes my way, you are still God. We know you to be an intentional God. Intentional, everything, everything is working for my good. We know you to be a dependable God. It doesn't matter what comes my way. It doesn't matter what comes my way. Intentional Jesus. Intentional Jesus. Everything is working out for my good. Everything is working out for my good. With your hands lifted up, we say, I will put my trust. It's only Jesus that I put my trust. I will make my boast in you. I will make my boast in you, Lord. Oh God, oh God, yeah. My trust just because you
Say, I will put my trust in you. Yeah, boy, sure, Toya, that was. I will make my boast in you. Yeah, I will put my trust in Jesus. You are. Some trust in chariots and some in horses. But my trust, my boast, my hope is built on nothing else but Jesus. 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 I can count on you, 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 Jesus. I will trust in you, Jesus. I will trust in you, Jesus. I will boast in you, Jesus. I will brag with you, Jesus. I will brag with you, Jesus. I will count on you, Jesus. I will count on you, Jesus. I will trust in you, Jesus. I will trust in you, Jesus. When everyone walks out on me, when everyone walks out on me, when hell breaks loose over me, I will depend on you, depend on you, rely on you, rely on you, depend on you, depend on you, rely on you, rely on you, depend on you, depend on you.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, dependable God. We start today in Jesus' name. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from. Hope your life classes went well yesterday and hope you're ready for today's class. We believe that you have received and you have watched your pre-recorded videos for today's class. It's a beautiful raining morning here in the city of Lagos. So in case you are cold like some of us, please help yourself to a cup of tea. Hope you had a restful night for those whose time zones have crossed from night to morning. We're super delighted to be at this assembly this morning. It's day 2 of week 1, and we have an amazing speaker. Okay, some of us were at the assembly yesterday and we heard from our supervising pastor. But today we have a phenomenal woman, a creative woman. Permit me to read her profile before bringing her up. Tony, an award-winning film producing HR professional, has almost 18 years of work experience. She's a CUDA-trained career advisor with vast HR experience. In her current role as the founder and managing partner of Western Resources Limited, she is responsible for overseeing end-to-end business operations of the HR consulting firm. As an HR consultant, she has worked with clients in the manufacturing, financial services, automobile, advertising, sales and distribution, and consulting industries. When she is not on Prime Video, Strain. Okay, my apologies, please. I was thrown out briefly by the network. Please welcome with us. She's going to be speaking to us. Okay. All right.
Okay, Folakemi, I couldn't hear you again. Am I live to go on now?
Okay, I guess it was the network. Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Right, so hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. I mean, that's the beauty of remote life that we have now. It can be different time zones or depending on where you are. I'm in Lagos, Nigeria, and as Folakemi said earlier, it's a raining morning here in Lagos. I mean, rain in February. I was going to go for my morning walk this morning. I'd gotten up at about 5:45. I was getting ready, getting into my running shoes. The rain started, and I couldn't have my morning run this morning. Who would have thought that we would have such experiences in February? But that's the sign of all the many changes we're having in our world today. So again, thank you for having me here this morning. I have about 20 minutes or so to share, and I hope that you find it useful and valid for yourself as you either commence your entrepreneurial journey or continue your entrepreneurial journey, depending on wherever you are, on the journey as an entrepreneur. I'd like to share my screen just so that you can follow me. I hope that's fine. Okay, fantastic. Right, so I've got my screen up now. Yeah. Right, so today we're talking about entrepreneurship, a tool for self-reliance. And so I'll be talking a lot about self-reliance and then try to blend that with entrepreneurship, right? So please let me know if at any point in time network gets in the way and you can't hear me, just, hands up or whatever, so that I know if you're following me or not. So what exactly is self-reliance? And it's so funny that before the session started, the song that was that the admin had put up in the background was talking about, depending on God. And I was just saying to myself, oh, what's such an irony, right? I'm here to talk about self-reliance, and then we have, a song talking about depending on God. So when we say self-reliance, we're not saying that we take out the God factor. That's not what self-reliance is, right? Self-reliance here is mainly about we as individuals versus depending on other people. The God factor is a constant. It will always be there. But when we talk about self-reliance, now it's about you being able to do things for yourself, you being able to stand on your own versus having to fall back on other people or having to depend on other people all the time. Keyword here again being all the time. So the fact that you're self-reliant does not mean that you don't need people, does not mean that you wouldn't reach out to other people for support once in a while. But we're saying ultimately you have to be self-reliant. So when we say self-reliance, it's simply the ability to do things and make decisions by yourself without needing other people to help you. So if we think about children, there's always the different stages. So there was a point where you had to feed a child to eat because the child can't feed themselves. And then the child grows to a point where they can feed themselves. So all you need to do is to dish the food and they can take the spoon to feed themselves. All you need to do is to fill the bottle with the liquid food or the water, and they can actually hold the cup themselves to drink, right? So that is a child being self-reliant to an extent. And then this same child then grows to a point where they can even go to the kitchen, open the pots, and serve the food themselves. That's another level of self-reliance. And then this same child gets to an age where they would go into the kitchen and cook the food themselves. That's another level of self-reliance. So when we talk about self-reliance, we're just saying the ability to do things yourself, the ability to make decisions yourself. Some of us here, when we were younger, we had to fill JAM form. We couldn't make the decision on the course of study on our own. We needed our parents to give us the guidance to say, okay, fill this form, fill this university, don't put this university. But now we're saying with self-reliance, it's about you being able, having ability to make the decisions by yourself, to do things by yourself. And this includes you trusting yourself. You need to trust yourself first, that yes, I can do this. You need to have faith in yourself, that yes, I can do this. Now I am at Dsap to learn this skill. I'm not just learning it for the sake of learning it to pass away time, but I trust in myself that I can make something out of this skill that I've come to Dsap to acquire. I have faith in myself. And when you're self-reliant, part of what it does is it gives you a level of independence. It gives you some level of freedom, some level of autonomy, because now you can make your own decisions. Now, as an entrepreneur, you're making some money for yourself. Now, as an entrepreneur, you can decide to stay up late at night to complete a job that you have to do. So you have the freedom to work with your time as long as you're getting the results, and then ultimately there's success at the end of the journey. And why is it important to be self-reliant? So I talked earlier about how as human beings, we start from being fed to, and as we progress in age and we keep growing, we get to levels where we are self-reliant and we can do certain things on our own. And then you get to the age where somebody cooks beans and you say, oh no, I don't feel like eating beans. And then you can go into the kitchen to cook what you feel like eating, because now you're self-reliant, you can cook for yourself, right? And so some of the importance of self-reliance, and because it's a very short session, I've just picked some key things to focus on. Some of the importance of self-reliance is, first, is that you become more confident. When you're self-reliant, you become more confident because now you're on a journey and you're gaining more confidence as you go on that journey. I saw a video this morning of a child, I think about a year old or so, trying to stand and walk. And the child kept falling. He would try to stand again, he would fall, right? But over time, guess what? This child will now walk and now run, and then they will now say, sit down there. The child will not answer because now there's enough confidence. The child knows, is he walking? I can walk. That's what self-reliance does for you. It helps you with your confidence. So as an entrepreneur, you're building self-reliance. It's helping with your confidence. Maybe you're learning to bake. By the time you become comfortable as a baker, it helps your confidence. So when somebody comes to say, oh, I'm getting married, can you bake a wedding cake? You'll be like, what? Bring it. How many tests do you want? Because now you're more confident in what you're doing. Another thing is that it helps you to accept yourself for who you are. And self-acceptance is a huge thing. A lot of us are not there yet, because for a lot of us, we have to rely on other people for approval. So it's only when people say we are good that we accept that we're good. But an importance of self-reliance is that it gives you that, beyond giving you the confidence, you accept yourself to say, yes, I am good at this. I'm here, I'm learning how to make leather shoes. I am good at this. On the back of that is then you being able to recognize and manage dependence. Because once you become aware of yourself, it helps your confidence, it helps you accept yourself. You're able to manage your dependence. So you're able to set your goals, give yourself targets, and go for it. Because now you've approved yourself and you've recognized what you bring and what you have as an entrepreneur. Of course, again, you have the individual responsibility. You can't be an entrepreneur and not have individual responsibility, because honestly, you're not collecting salary from anybody. So there's no, what we say in Yoruba language, ogata, ogata. Oh, Allah, apologies to those that are not Yorubas here. But an entrepreneur, individual responsibility is it's just there, because you know that if you don't make sales for the day, if you don't make sales for the month, you don't earn anything. So you learn to accept responsibility for the tasks that need to be accomplished. So you know that when a client comes to say, oh, I have an event, I want you to come and do the photography at the event, you know that you have to be there. You know that Lagos rain would not be an excuse for you to get there late, because you know what that means as an entrepreneur. But as a salary earner, you can conveniently call your boss and say, oh, it rained, my area is flooded, my street is flooded. In fact, there's no movement out of my street. But as an entrepreneur, individual responsibility is just right there staring at you. And then what you're asking yourself is, now I have to depend on myself to get this thing done. Again, back to self-reliance. So how do I get this thing done faster and smarter? Now I have to rely on myself to get under this rain and go execute this project that I have. How do I do it? It's about individual responsibility. Another part that a lot of people do not like to hear is the surviving alone. But the reality is that when you're an entrepreneur, when you're trying to create something, most times at that early stage, you're surviving alone. Even when you go to investors are only interested in what you started to build. It is very few investors that would put their money into just an idea that you have. A lot of investors want to even see that you've built something, that you've started something. And that still comes back to how you're able to use your self-reliance to grow that thing, that idea, or how you're able to use your self-reliance to develop that skill that you have. So most times we just have to rely on ourselves to get things going. We have to just rely on ourselves to get things going. And that's the beauty of being at Dsap, because now you're here to acquire these skills. But beyond acquiring the skills, what do you do with it? It's you now seeing that, okay, now I have these skills and I have to use these skills to start something that would eventually grow into something bigger, that other people would be interested to partner with me on the journey. But it starts first with you trusting yourself. Remember when we talked about self-trust and having faith in yourself. So we're saying, okay, self-reliant. So is it that easy to be self-reliant? Will I just wake up one morning and, I'm self-reliant? How do I become self-reliant? First, it's about being self-aware. What do I do well? What do I want to do? Because sometimes you can do a lot of things well, but it doesn't mean that you have to do all of them. So you start first by identifying what are the things I do very well. And then you start to narrow is, okay, out of all of these things I do very well, which one do I really want to focus on? Which one or two do I want to focus on out of these 10 things that I can do very well? Okay, I've come to Dsap. I'm in the catering class. I've learned how to do meat pie. I'm learning how to do cake. I'm learning how to do I want to go into all of the pastries, or do I want to focus into just baking and be known as somebody that makes very good cake designs in, wherever I am? Or do I want to make it a full pastry outlet? Once you're very clear of yourself, that's you becoming self-aware. The next step is to take responsibility for your life. Sometimes part of taking responsibility for your life would include learning how to say no. Would include knowing the kind of jobs you would take and the ones you would walk away from, even when they look juicy. Another way of becoming self-reliant is learning new skills, which is, why you're all here at Dsap as well, to learn new skills. You need to learn new skills. You need to unlearn. You need to relearn as you progress in life. So learning new skills also helps with self-reliance, because that's when you can then say, okay, well, now I can go do this on myself, for myself. And this is going to give me some level of autonomy that I want. This is going to give me some level of freedom that I want to be able to make my own decisions. I remember when I left paid employment in 2016, when I stopped working as an employee. And I just realized that I was in between jobs. And at that time, I could control my time. So when I was an employee, I didn't have enough time to attend my children's school activities. Even when I go, I'm like either getting there towards the end, or I get there early and I have to leave early to rush back to work. Then 2016 came, I was in between jobs, and I just found that I go for my children's school activities and I'm not in a hurry. I'm there, I enjoy all their presentations. I'm like, wow, this is the life. Then I just started telling people, you know what, I'm not looking for a job again. For me, it was just that simpler act or action that made me embrace entrepreneurship. Just seeing that control I had over my time and being able to focus, which was being there for my children, it made a lot of sense to me. And so I had to then to ask myself, okay, now I want to be self-reliant. What skills do I have that I can use as an entrepreneur? What skills do I need to go learn to improve on my entrepreneurial skills? What do I need to learn that I can monetize? So learning new skills. Another thing is to develop a growth mindset. So you're here today, oh, I only have this small thing. Or even after I finish learning this photography, I only have one dead camera. How will this one camera that I have help me? You need to have a growth mindset to say, okay, well, with this one camera I have, if I start to take small jobs here and there, I can save to get the next camera that my eyes is on. Oh, okay, well, I don't have an office space. Oh, well, I will start in my house, probably use my mentor's office as my official address. And then as I go, eventually, I can then rent an office space. Or, okay, I would go and use one of these shared offices where I can pay 10,000 or 15,000 per day that I go there. So the days I have meetings, I would go to that shared office space and meet my clients there. Eventually, we would grow to a size where we can comfortably rent a whole space. So you have to develop a growth mindset, because otherwise, if you keep looking at what you have or what you don't have, you won't get on the journey, right? And for those who are full-time Dsap members, Pastor says this to us all the time. He even has a book on it. Start with what you have, right? Another thing is you need to take action. Take the leap of faith. Just start. Build a strong support system as well. So even though we're talking about being self-reliant, it does not mean that you cut off all the relationships in your life. You still need all of these people in your life, your friends, your colleagues, your family members, as you go on the journey towards being self-reliant. And then, finally, one of the things to be mindful of is your physical and mental health. If you're not healthy, and the entrepreneurial journey goes down the drain. If you're not healthy, the self-reliance dream goes down the drain. So as you go through all of that journey, one of the things you need to have in mind is that your physical and mental health needs to be taken care of as well. And sometimes it may mean, we're just shutting down for a couple of hours to refresh. Sometimes it may mean not ignoring those signs when your body is telling you you're pushing me too hard. Because as an entrepreneur, that's one of the things you would face a lot. Because you are the MD of the company, you are the social media manager, you are the finance person, you are the HR, you are the logistics person for the company. And so sometimes you get to a point where your body is speaking to you, you need to listen and just take a break. As with a lot of things in life, right, there's always the other side to it. And so I thought to also just call this out. As much as we talk about being self-reliant, when you overstretch it, it can also cause a disadvantage. Talked about paying attention to our physical and mental health earlier. And one of the things with being too self-reliant, especially as an entrepreneur, is sometimes we burn out. And guess what? When you burn out, it then affects the quality of the work you're trying to do. It affects productivity. In fact, it affects the whole decision-making, and the whole essence of self-reliance then becomes counterproductive. So it means that even in our quest to be self-reliant, in our quest to use the skills that we have to better our lives, to give us better control over our time and the decisions that we make, we need to know where to draw the line and ask for help. So being self-reliant does not mean that you become omni-knowest. No, only God has that. So you need to know when to still take a pause and ask for support. You need to know when to take a pause and ask for help, and not just say, oh, I'm self-reliant, I will do everything by myself, it's just me and God. No, you still need people around you. You still need relationships around you to get things going. And that just brings us to the whole aspect of entrepreneurship, right? So Investopedia has defined an entrepreneur as an individual who creates a new business, bearing most of the risk and enjoying most of the rewards. And so as you are Dsap to acquire skills, I'm hoping that your intention is to use the skills that you're acquiring to create new business or new businesses, which will then require you to bear most of the risk of the business. As I said earlier, like most times, especially at the starting stage, people sit back and want to see what you're doing before they get invested in it as well. And so you're going to be bearing most of the risk. And of course, when you stay onto it and don't give up, you also enjoy most of the rewards. And it is your self-reliance that would help you be able to stay on when it's time to bear the risk. When it's looking like, oh, what's going on here? It's that self-reliance, that trust that you have in yourself, that belief that you have in yourself, that approval you've given yourself is what will keep you going to be able to bear the risk in the long run for you to enjoy the rewards from it. And so as I wrap up this session, self-reliance is not just a means to an end. Self-reliance is a life-changing mindset. And so when you're faced with life's obstacles that would keep coming as an entrepreneur, it's easy to become, overwhelmed. You lose sight of the goals. You're like, oh, they didn't tell me it's like this. So I've been seeing all these big companies, all these people that come to post on social media about their companies. Oh, I didn't know it's like this. It is the self-reliance that keeps you going, because guess what? Your mindset has changed. Because now you trust yourself. You trust your abilities that you have. And you know that if you stay consistent, the results are just, at the end of the corner. So it's about you being able to press on and pursue that dreams that you have. It's about you being able to bounce back from the challenges that you encounter as an entrepreneur. Self-reliance, and as I said earlier, is not about you being completely independent, because I know sometimes when we hear self-reliance, we just think, oh, self, me. No, it's not about you being completely independent, but it's about you being able to rely on yourself and then knowing where to seek for help, because there will be days when you need help. The help would be needed in different formats. It may just be being talking to somebody, just letting out the steam. The help may be, oh, you need to get a soft loan from someone. The help may be, oh, you need somebody to also roll up their sleeves and join you to do whatever you need to do. So always remember that self-reliance is not about completely being independent, but it's about knowing to rely on yourself, and having the confidence to seek for help when necessary. And so finally, building self-reliance is not straightforward. It's not easy. That's the truth. But you need to stay at it. Remember, I said earlier, it's about a life-changing mindset. So once you see it from that point of view, you go at it and you stay on it. It requires a lot of perseverance. It requires a lot of willingness to stay out of your comfort zone. So again, I'm bringing it back to why we are Dsap. You're here now to learn some of a new skill or to sharpen a skill that you have already. It wouldn't be easy. But when you stay true to it, it gets you to that point where you would grow something out of nothing. So it's about taking initiative and creating your own opportunities. Remember, I talked about being self-aware earlier. So when you're self-aware, you're able to create opportunities, you're able to understand your strengths and your weaknesses, and also know how to leverage them to your advantage. It's about the growth mindset. It's about growth mindset. There's nothing big we see today that didn't start small. So it's about having the growth mindset and the willingness to learn and adapt. So again, you don't say, oh, I've gone to Dsap, I've learned a skill over some weeks, and that's it. I'm not learning again. With that one I have, I'm good to go. You need to continue to learn. You need to continue to aspire to grow. You may fail along the line, but failure is part of the growth process. So with resilience, you pick yourself back up and keep at it. And with self-reliance, you can overcome any obstacles that comes your way, and you can live a more fulfilling and purpose-driven life, because now you have more control over your decisions, you have more freedom, and you have more autonomy. I'll stop here now because of our time. So thank you.
Thank you very much, TY. That was an awesome session. Thank you very much. Our dear students, can you please celebrate Toyin Adewumi in the chat box? Thank you, thank you. One great thing about all that you have said is that you have just said some of the things that our supervising pastor told us yesterday. And for me, it's just super amazing. You have told us to have a growth mindset. Everybody needs that. You have told us to learn, relearn, and unlearn. That is very, very, very important. Thank you so much for being a blessing to us this morning. We appreciate you. Our students are actually streaming on YouTube, so you may not be able to see their comments, but they are great for all that you have shared. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I will stream your movie this weekend as a form of gratitude.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming. All right, dear students, before we go, let's take responsibility, individual responsibility. We just heard that. So one way to take responsibility is to sign in with your registered name. That is your way of taking responsibility. You also need to sign into the Seesaw app. That's your way of taking action. Okay. Some of us have not signed into the Seesaw platform for our class, and that is where we'll be submitting our modular assignments. So please sign in. The guidelines and the code have been shared on your Telegram platform. Please do well to sign in, and don't forget, sign in with your registered name. We're already having issues with attendance. Some people's attendance yesterday, they have donated the hours to us at Dsap, even though we can't do anything with all that time. But you have happily donated your 80 minutes, 95 minutes, 110 minutes to us, because you either came in with an unidentified device, or you came in with an alias, or wrongly arranged names, or one thing or the other. So please check the list that your PMA posted and sign in with the correct name. Also, before we go, let's be reminded that we have general elections this afternoon, immediately after the live classes. We already elected our class governors yesterday. So today we'll be electing our set president, GenSec, and all the other ESCOs. And we promise you that your mandate will stand. We are not going to rig the election. Ballot boxes will not be stolen. It will be free and fair. So your PMAs will post the link on your Telegram platform. The first 300 students get to participate on Zoom, while the others will join on YouTube. So if you're lucky to be part of the first 300, you get to watch the election and participate live on Zoom. Otherwise, you'll be on YouTube. And trust me, your votes will count, whether you're on YouTube or on Zoom. Okay, so that'll be all for this morning. It's been an amazing time with our speaker today. Please do well to take actions, necessary actions, do well to focus in class. Don't forget to actively participate in class. We wish you all a productive day, and we'll see you in the afternoon at the elections. Bye for now.